What's up guys, Sean here, and in today's video I'm going to be going over a little issue that I have with the Flytanium aluminum ball cage for the Spyderco Manix 2. As you can see, I changed up my color scheme on my baby right here. This is pretty much my dream Manix 2 build. I have the Rock Scale Designs skinny hexi pattern titanium scales on here. These scales are linerless. I also have this outfitted with a green anodized titanium milled pocket clip from Rip's Garage Tech. Prior to my Flytanium ball cage exploding, I had this black DLC coated Rip's Garage Tech clip on here. And I actually just got this green one in. This clip was gifted to me from a viewer named Brandon. He's also a member over in the Spyderco MILLIE Club. So big shout out to Brandon. That was extremely generous and very heartwarming. Always really nice when people do stuff like that. Nice little tokens of appreciation for the time that I put in and stuff. So, you know, just know I truly appreciate you guys, and it's, you know, little things like that can make a huge difference when it comes to you know, little motivation boosts to keep the content coming and everything, because you know it's a lot of work and you know you really don't make anything from YouTube. I didn't start the channel to make money, but with the amount of work that it takes, which is far beyond what I expected when I got into it, it definitely helps you stay motivated to be compensated for your time and work, you know, at least a little bit. So anyways, I'm getting off topic, but I switched up the color scheme. I put the DLC coated clip on my River's Edge Cutlery exclusive Manix 2, like I had originally aspired to build this Manix 2 out like this. And that was before I knew that this one was going to be coming into me, which this knife was a gift from Chris. Huge shout out to Chris. Very unexpected and really amazing gift. And because you know, he was so kind and generous to get one of these for me so I could experience 15V and give you all my thoughts and opinions on it, and you know, see what kind of edges it does best with, and you know, just have the chance to experience it. That was a very thoughtful, very kind gift. Therefore, the knife is very special to me, and I wanted to do a special build with this. And those of you who follow me over on Instagram, you will know that I carry this literally every day. And I don't think there's been one day that I have not carried this since I got this knife as a gift from Chris, which was on New Year's Eve, 2022. So just hit a full month with this bad boy, and I love it just as much as the first day. And I do have to admit, this color scheme is also really nice, and I had to figure out what I was going to do with this green clip, because it didn't really go with anything else other than my native chief right here. But I really didn't need or want a milled clip for that knife. So it's not really like a fancy build. These aren't cheap clips. So it all works out this way. But so let me point out a couple issues that I've been having with this build. Ever since I switched to the linerless Rock Scale Designs titanium skinny scales, the screws keep on working their way loose. I've tried 2 different types of Loctite. I've disassembled, cleaned everything out, reassembled. I've checked to make sure all the surfaces are smooth, that there's no dried Loctite, no leftover burr or uneven steel from manufacturing, and everything looks pretty good. I even went and purchased the Rockscale Designs lanyard tube for this, just in case the factory lanyard tube was creating any possible issues. That, the screws coming loose was an everyday thing, and I actually have gone through, I believe, 2 screws now have become stripped to the point that they are no longer usable, and I had to borrow screws from one of my other knives, and I'm going to have to actually buy another set of screws to replace the ones that I borrowed. So now that I look back on it, I don't know if this aluminum ball cage could have been causing any type of issue fitment wise or anything that would cause extra resistance or extra pressure, or if this caused any unnecessary extra lateral or horizontal forces that assisted in helping these screws work themselves back out every single day, or if it's an issue somewhere with the tolerances of these scales, and that's certainly a possibility. And I've been contemplating reaching out to Rockscale Design and seeing what they think, seeing if they want to maybe swap these out. I have not done that yet. I'm pretty sure that they would, but I've never dealt with them in that manner before. I've never had an issue with any of their products so far, up until this possibly, and there might not even be anything wrong with these scales, but it is a possibility. And with the way that some of these knife makers and the customer service of some of these knife manufacturers, the way that they treat their customers and stuff, kind of makes you a little bit hesitant to reach out to a company to give them a chance to correct something. Well, it's not even that I would be bashing them. It would just be my honest experience. But with something like this, I had an issue with scales in the past, and I went straight to a Facebook post, and it wasn't my intention to bash the maker, but a lot of people took it that way, and I quickly learned that that's not always the best first move in a situation like that. Sometimes you save yourself and the maker a lot of headache and stress and agony by just reaching out to the manufacturer of that product and giving them the chance to make it right. So I am going to reach out to them, see if they want to swap these out and see if that makes any difference. And if that does help, then there's a chance that maybe this aluminum ball cage is not necessarily the weak link. Well, I mean, it is a weak link if it can break that easily. And before anybody starts typing in the comments, I know that post is threaded to screw in. That's not the issue. The post is either stripped, the threads are either stripped from it, or it's snapped off inside of there because it cannot thread in. There's nothing for the threads to grab onto. And this was a piece that I purchased brand new, never took it apart, never, there's no reason that this should have any issues. So considering the fact that these screws have continued to work themselves back loose again, today, after switching back to the factory ball cage, it does have me seriously thinking that it might be something with these scales, which, you know, that wouldn't be the end of the world because that's something that could be resolved. My, you know, worst fear, worst case scenario is if it is something defective with the knife itself, and you know, something with the parts from Spyderco, some kind of defect that would need to be replaced by them. And, you know, with my luck, there not be any 15V Manix 2s available for them to replace it with. You know, I don't really think that would necessarily be a thing. I'm pretty sure they still are making more of them, but there's a chance that they might not be. And then there's also the fact that I might have a long wait period without my baby, and I've already put 2 edges on this blade. You know, I've already developed an attachment to this specific knife. You know, I have my own scratches on it, my own everything. It's, you know, once you use a blade, you've sharpened and everything. I know it's not everybody, but at least I'm a sentimental kind of person, and I get kind of an attachment to stuff like that. So if I was to swap this with somebody else's that was the same exact build, also sharpened, I would still feel naked, because just the fact that it's not this specific one, as weird as that is. So that probably didn't make any sense at all. But one thing I will note that I noticed is that the screws did not work their way out as much today. It hasn't been as bad, so that's kind of interesting. Really makes me wonder if maybe there was an issue with this ball cage. You can see some wear points on it where the anodizing has worn off, and wherever it's, you know, bright silver, that is wherever it was the highest wear point. And aluminum against titanium, that doesn't slide as easily as something like plastic against titanium. So, you know, this could have been causing some sort of issues, especially because these scales are, it's like a blasted finish, and it has kind of like a really coarse texture to it, very grippy, very aggressive. And if I was to slide this across the top of my scale, it would take that coating right off of it. I mean, they almost feel like sandpaper, which I like. It's great for grip and, you know, functionality for practical use, but it does create some extra friction and resistance in that area. So, you know, anytime you start swapping around parts, replacing factory parts and the factory design of the knife with aftermarket parts, start removing liners, there's a good probability, a good chance that everything isn't going to go together exactly as well as it all did with all the factory components. You know, it's about a 50-50 shot from my experience so far, and I've customized a buttload of Spyderco knives. And, you know, I would say about 95% of the time, I'm able to at least make it work. If there is an issue, I'm able to, you know, kind of tune it and adjust it and get it all dialed in. But there is some instances where things just, you know, don't all fit together. You have components that are being manufactured by 2 different companies at 2 different times, and there's, you know, no matter how good your tolerances are, and your machines and your process and all that stuff, there's still going to be some minor variations here and there, especially from one batch to the next. Machines can start to get out of spec. It might be by such a small amount, you know, you're not going to notice it until somebody has an issue, unless you are literally checking every single scale that you make for fitment and tolerances. So you know, not that that would be a bad idea, and maybe they do, but I kind of doubt it, considering the issues that I've had when it comes to custom Spyderco builds before. A lot of times you end up having to modify it or tweak it to resolve whatever issue you might have when you are putting it back together. So, you know, that's just the way it goes with when you're modifying your knives. And something to keep in mind, you know, it's not always an upgrade or better to get all the cool fancy parts. Sometimes it can actually cause you more of a headache than it's worth, especially if it is a user knife, a knife that you depend on to be reliable and not fall apart. You know, if I was going out in the mountains for a week and I wasn't going to be, you know, anywhere near civilized society, and I could only have one knife with me, it sure as hell isn't going to be this one that I have to worry about tightening the screws back down every single day. So it can end up making your knife a little bit extra finicky, to where you constantly have to mess with it. And some people don't mind. And if it's not a knife that you're carrying every day and using every day, then it's not going to pose as much of an issue. But if it is a knife that you use every single day, it's going to get old very, very quickly. So, you know, when it comes to a lot of my user knives, I end up going back to, you know, at least 90% stock pretty, you know, quite often, because that's usually the most reliable configuration for the knife. And then one last thing before I wrap this video up, or actually two things. I want to give you a quick little peek at my fresh edge on my Demco 80 20.5. Big shout out to Anthony Griffin for gifting this knife to me. I actually have the original blade that it came with somewhere around here. Yeah, I have it wrapped up right here. This 3V Shark's Foot blade I recently just purchased from Brian Kim. You might know him as Transparent Knives. He often has a bunch of these blades laying around because he does the reblades and custom builds and stuff. And every time he gets so many of them, he'll post on his Instagram that he has them available, and it's first come, first serve. So if you're trying to get your hands on just a blade, if you want a replacement blade or you want to upgrade your blade, you might want to be following Brian over on Instagram, and his Instagram is Transparent Knives. And one more thing, the blade that came on this the AUS-10A drop point blade with my signature edge on it, ready to go, is available for sale. If you are interested in it, make me an offer. I was asking $70 shipped. I think that is fair considering it has my edge on it and it's ready to go. You know, this would be $40 or $50 edge alone, plus the cost of shipping, you know, 2 ways. So really, you know, that might be a good option for somebody. I paid $80 for this 3V blade with the factory edge on it. So yeah, I mean, obviously 3V is superior to AUS 10A, but I will tell you, and this is no bullshit, no, you know, I'm not sugarcoating anything. I was extremely impressed with this AUS 10A. I did not have high expectations for it, you know, with it being considered, you know, somewhat of like a budget steel, but it did not perform like a budget steel. It performs like, you know, a legitimate stainless steel. I mean, you wouldn't notice any difference between this and, say, CPM S30V or CPM 154, 154 CM, 14C28N, D2, even, you know, some companies 20CV or M390 possibly, depending on their heat treat and all. I mean, this, they did a really good job with their AUS 10A. I was very pleased with it. Did really good. If you, you know, just so you can see that I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass and making stuff up, you can go back to the review I did on this knife back many months ago, and that was with the first edge that I put on it. This right here is the second edge, and I don't believe I've really done any cutting with this knife since I put this edge on here. So should be nice and fresh and crispy and ready to go for you if you're interested in that. So back to the task at hand. So this knife was gifted to me. It came with this blade. It came decked out with these RGT G10 scales and backspacer. They are not aggressive G10 at all. It's very smooth. These scales and backspacer will also be up for sale. If anybody's interested in those, just shoot me an offer. Or you could shoot me an offer for the blade and the scales and backspacer. However you want to do it. And I have a new clip for this coming in from Lynch Northwest. I ordered a, well, you'll see it when it gets here. Should be here within the next couple of days. And I also custom ordered some very, very sexy scales for this bad boy and a custom backspacer that I don't want to spill the beans on. You guys are just going to have to wait and see. That stuff should be here, I believe, Saturday. So it cannot get here soon enough. Super excited to get this all built out. As you can see, I did swap out the thumb stud with the Flytanium DLC coated thumb stud. And I do like this Flytanium thumb stud a lot better. It has TORX on both sides instead of that flathead slot that has the sharp edges to it that gets really uncomfortable. So definitely a nice little upgrade. If the sharp edge on the stock thumb stud bothers you, or you just want to add a little pop of contrast or style to your build, definitely a recommendable upgrade. And last but not least, I want to give a major shout out to Jacob Ginsberg, aka Jacob Creates, for gifting me this knife. I actually found out that he was gifting this to me right before Christmas. It was about a month and a half into me having this knife, which originally I contacted him asking if he had any, pass around knives or review samples, that I was interested in checking out his knife and wondering if he could send me something to check out and review. And he said he would send me one of his personal chickadees. This one's in CPM M4. He said, carry it, use it, sharpen it, do whatever you want. And I was, very, very surprised. I haven't really asked many people or many companies to check out their knives. Maybe one or two, but one kind of led me on and then just ghosted me and made me feel like shit. And then the other ones I've tried just haven't even responded back to me. So I guess in their eyes, I'm still a nobody, which is fine. But, Jacob, on the other hand, he didn't even hesitate. He said he was, would get it right out to me. And I was not anticipating or expecting him to end up giving this to me. I don't know if it's because I took so damn long to get to the review that he just said, oh, it's been this long. I've lived this long without it. I guess I don't need it. Or just an act of kindness and generosity out of love and, one of those kind of deals. But I was giving him an update, letting him know that I was planning on getting the review done by X time. And he messaged back and said, by the way, that chickadee is yours. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, man, Merry Christmas. I was like, no freaking way. So, I mean, I have people thank me for stuff that videos I do and stuff constantly. And yeah, I might not be making anything from YouTube, but I have had pretty steady blessings coming from all kinds of amazing people in the community. And I just wanted to make sure they got recognition and, just let you guys know how much you mean to me and how much it is appreciated. Because, it truly does touch my heart every time. And I'm pretty much lost for words every time, because I never expected to be in any type of position where strangers were sending me anything as a gift. I certainly don't feel deserving of it. I'm just regular guy like you guys. I just happen to, put a lot of time and work into sharing my thoughts and opinions and stuff, and I guess people like it, so I'm gonna keep on doing it. But anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Hope everyone's having a great week so far. Thank you all for watching. I love you. Jesus loves you. Stay tuned, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.